In this video, we're talking about how I shot my 2-time award-winning short documentary film, My Meditation. The film got a jury award at the Sport Liberec Film Festival in Czech Republic, and quite recently, this morning actually, got the Best Documentary Award on the Vienna International Film Awards, which is a huge honor. It also got selected a couple times, and it got a semi-finalist position at the International Documentary Outdoor Film Festival in China. Pretty cool. So in this video, we're mainly going to talk about all the thoughts and all the things that go on in my head while producing or while thinking about a film like this. And we're going to divide this in logical phases that are often used in filmmaking, which are the definition phase, the pre-production phase, the shooting phase, the post-production phase, and the distributing phase, or as I like to call it, the publishing phase. Our definition phase started in a climbing gym, funny enough. I went to the climbing gym to do some bouldering, which is something that I like to do from time to time to empty my head and do some physical workout, and there was Karen. And I know her from gymnastic classes a couple years ago because that's what I was into back then. And there she was, doing some gymnastics. She was actually freaking good and I was a massive noob, but we got along, we got talking, and years later we meet in a climbing gym. Anyway, we talked about shooting a film together. I knew she was a highliner and that really intrigued me because it's something that in Holland is quite rare because we don't have mountains. So we talked about it and we kind of both agreed on doing this because why not? It's still COVID time, so we have quite a fair bit of time. It's summer, so it's nice and bright early on in the morning. So that's basically how this whole thing got started. And after this, we started to talk on WhatsApp, we started to call, we started to meet up just to discuss what kind of story we wanted to tell, what kind of images we wanted to shoot. And that's where we kind of go into the pre-production phase. This is usually the phase where you kind of establish the locations that you want to shoot in, the gear that you want to shoot on, and the cast and the crew. In this case, we had Karen and myself. Nobody else was involved, so that was pretty easy. We were flexible with the weather, with the times, with the dates, so that was really nice. We set a date for, I think, somewhere in July, and we were just hoping for good weather. But if the weather was shit, we could, of course, postpone it to another day. That's the good thing of shooting with a very small crew. Then we slowly started to think about a storyline in the bigger picture, because only highlighting shots are not enough. You want to sort of get a total image of the things that you're doing. So I wanted to shoot her prepping the line, because if you don't know what highlining is or how it works, you have a high line, but you also have a safety line underneath, and you need to tape that safety line on the main line, but it requires a special technique so that the line can still move, which is a lot of work. So that's what we shot as well in her basement. Then also something that is not visible in the video, we shot some preppings, like in a park where she was just drawing out the line and all the equipment that she needed. However, it was so far off from the actual shots that I ended up not using it, also because it didn't really add into the story, but more on that later. The first day of shooting was actually a pretty early day. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. We went to Schorl, we drove 50 minutes and we rigged the line. And then actually the first problem arose. Because rigging the line takes so much time, we were too late with the shot itself because the sun was already way above the horizon and it makes the image look completely different. So just to give you an example, these are shots that are shot. For example, this one is shot with the sun already higher above the horizon. This one as well, and this one as well. This one is still on the earlier side, but see the difference between this shot and this shot. You know what I mean? When you're shooting before the sun tips the horizon, you can expose for Karen, for your subject, but the background is still exposed properly as well because there's no sun. However, if the sun is coming up and tips over the horizon, you see that it becomes extremely hard to expose properly for the foreground and still have detail in the background. This is more of a silhouette, which I liked as well because it draws your eyes into the middle of the frame. But still it got harder and harder to expose properly. So we shot all the shots and it looked amazing. But I got home, I checked the footage and I told her, okay, it's really nice, I'm very happy and you did amazing, but we have to go again. And her reaction was, fuck yeah, let's do it, let's go. Because this is an unpaid project, it's both our time that we put into it. It's sometimes difficult to ask more of people. So I asked her again, we went to Schotel again, but she actually went the day earlier to rig the line already. And then she slept in a tent on the spot itself so that we could start really soon in the morning. So that was a 3 a.m. wake up call, drank a coffee, drove off, and we were there at, I think, 4:15. We prepped a little bit and then we started shooting. And that is basically all these images that you see here. Of course, we were extremely lucky with the weather, but also this is just the magic of waking up early. Nobody around. The only thing that you hear are birds. And it was just a magical moment. I had goosebumps all over my body when I saw this through my viewfinder. I was blown away. Anyway, so that's what we shot the second day. Then we had a third day of shooting, which were actually the preppings. Yeah, so this was shot very simply, just on my tripod with a small slider. It's a Zeepin slider. And I just changed the lighting in there a little bit, just blocked off the light with a diffusion sheet, I think, like the main light, which was there. And then I put one of my own Godox lights, like these tube lights, just to boost it a little bit. And that was it. And then, yeah, we did some preps and we actually shot some other stuff, which I just mentioned, that didn't make the cut because it didn't really tell the story properly. So then all this was shot. Now it was time for the voiceover. At first I was thinking to do a proper interview, and we did it actually. We did it on the location itself, but it was so noisy, that we shot it after all the shots. So it was about 10 a.m. and all the cars, the trucks, the scooters, the people, they were all awake. So it was super noisy. It was super difficult to get a nice clean audio signal. And that is what you want, because if you are really playing with sound design and with bird sounds and nature sounds, and you hear scooters and trucks and honks and whatever through that sound, it's horrible. You get taken out of the story. So I told her that I wanted to do a voiceover. And this was actually the moment when we established the actual story. Because if you have seen the film, you know that this story for Karen is very, very difficult and it's very personal. And therefore I was extremely honored that I could tell the story through this film and that she was brave enough to talk about it. And I am still, until this day, very grateful that we could do it this way. So we sat down and we did the voiceover, and I think we redid the voiceover 3 times on 3 separate days, because first it was very emotional for her, it was very difficult to talk about, and then I started editing it and I missed a couple things and I missed some body to the story. So we did it again, and eventually I was happy with everything that I had recorded and started assembling it in the edit. And that's how we got into the post-production phase. So the post-production phase is all about editing and sound design and everything that you can do in a computer, basically, color grading. So I think I did 4 versions of the film, and eventually I got the film that I ended up posting. So that's really cool. It took me a lot of time to edit and do the sound design and do the color grade, because I'm very perfectionistic, and this is certainly a thing that is very difficult to do alone. If you have multiple people around you that have an opinion, they can definitely help you to create a faster result. But if you're alone, you're constantly doubting yourself. That's one of my worst things, I would say. After the edit was done and I was happy with the result, I went on with my push strategy. And this is how we get into the deliver page, how did I write it? Oh yeah, distribution phase or publishing phase, as I call it, because it's not really a distribution, because I'm not delivering the film to a post house or anything, but I kind of just put it online. So there's a few things that I did in order to get noticed. For every bigger video that I do, that I'm proud of, I take a few stills. For example, these stills, and make like a collage from it, like this. Oh, it's not downloaded, but and I post that on Facebook. For example, on Color Grading Central, if I did an excessive color grade, or the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera groups. Also, I use my Instagram very heavily to promote my work, of course. And then, of course, the post section on YouTube as well. Now, one thing that I did as well, which really paid off in the end, was to push the film towards film festivals. And this is a thing that a lot of you guys were interested in, and I can imagine, because it's something that is not often talked about, especially in the YouTube community. So here we go. The tool that I use for this is Film Freeway. And Film Freeway is essentially a website that you can upload your film onto and then send it off to 1,000 film festivals. A film festival costs money. It depends on which festival you choose, but the bigger festivals, you have to pay money to submit your film. And the chances that you are being picked are slim, so you might lose your money. However, if you do a proper research and you find film festivals that really connect to your film, you can, get a bigger chance to be selected. Now, let's see what happens if we go into my submission folder here. You see that a lot are not selected, All these film festivals didn't pick my film, which is fine. I mean, there are so many great filmmakers out there that use this way of pushing their films into the world. And I think that's great. But I did get a selection from a couple, which are the Amsterdam Short Film Festival, the Prague International Film Awards, then the Liftoff online sessions, the Sport Film Festival in Rotterdam, Holland, and then, no, this was the other film already. Yeah, so then I got my award-winning Best Documentary from the Vienna International Film Awards and the semi-finalist at the International Outdoor Documentary Film Festival in China, and then the Sport Liberec Film Festival in Czech Republic. And this actually, it means a lot, It means that my film is being screened in a different country for a new audience, for people that have never heard of my name. And it is a great way to get your name out there in the world, to get a new audience to discover you. And if you win such a film festival, it can have a massive impact on your career. It also can do nothing, but it will definitely sort of establish your name as a filmmaker because you have created or produced something beautiful that people believed in. And also, it's just, of course, very cool if you can put this shit on your website. Let's be honest. People do recognize it, so it's kind of cool. However, should you do this for every film? No. It does cost money. I think I paid $250 for this, for all these film festivals to apply to. And it was kind of scary at first because I didn't know what would happen. But I am now about more than half a year down the line, and now I suddenly get award winnings, which is great, but it is still scary. And you really should think about whether your film is actually potentially good. I really believed in this film because it was a story that I stood behind 100 million%. I thought it was extremely brave of Karen to do this and to talk about her own personal story in this way. And I was able to capture these images that I was really proud of. So I thought, fuck it, let's do it, let's see what happens. And I'm glad I did. So to sum up this video, I think it's very important to take these phases seriously. Every short film, every feature film, every video that you make, you kind of have to follow a particular structure to be organized and to not forget important steps in the filmmaking process. So make sure that you try to do that. I use Notion to stay organized, which is this program, which is very useful. I use it for all my videos and all my things. regarding, you know, client work or short films that I'm thinking of making. It is an amazing tool to stay organized and to, you know, not lose sight over all the things that you have in your head, especially if you're like an ADHD guy as me that has so many thoughts. It's great to do it this way. Anyway, if you guys want to know more about my, you know, Notion workflow and how I stay organized with all these film ideas and all these things, let me know. Then I'll make a video about it maybe later on. But for now, that's it. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Please, of course, as always, leave your questions down below or hit me up on Instagram. I would love to help you out. I think it's a very interesting topic, you know, making short films and really getting yourself out there, creating beautiful, captivating imagery and all that stuff. So yeah, hopefully I motivated you guys in a certain way, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next week.